Alright guys, so in the last video we converted the search component from class-based to functional with the useState hook. Now what I want to work on in this video is the user.js function or component, which is a class-based component. The reason it's a class is because we use the component did mount lifecycle method, which fires off when the component mounts. Now the replacement for this using functional components with hooks is the useEffect hook. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and bring in up here actually we can get rid of component since we're going to change this to a function, and we just want to bring in useEffect. Okay, and then let's start to convert this. So we'll say const user, and we no longer need extends. We can just go ahead and make this a function. Okay, and with prop types we just want to get rid of that and put that down at the bottom underneath the function. So right here we'll say user and then dot prop types. Now the props are no longer going to come from this dot props, like you see here how we brought in all this stuff. What we're going to do is they come in through here. Now I could do props and then we could do props.user and props.loading and stuff. I'm going to just do a little destructuring here. So I am going to just do user. I could go ahead and even destructure further and pull all this stuff out. However, actually, you know what? We'll leave this. Let's leave this, but we'll set this to we'll pull it from user, which we're gonna just destructure and get from here, rather than doing it in here because that'll get a little messy. So we have user, we have loading, we have our methods like get user, get repos, and even match. So this match right here, which comes from this dot props, we can get rid of that. Oops, get rid of that. And then let's see, down here we no longer need this because loading and repos are getting destructured up here, getting passed in. And let's see, we can leave this as far as, let's see, there's not going to be any more render, so that ends here. So let's get rid of that. We're just doing a straight return. Okay, and I think we shouldn't have to change anything else because this stuff is all, it's still coming from the props, just in a different way. So the last thing is how do we get this stuff to run, because we can't use component did mount. So the answer to that is we use useEffect. So I'm just going to go right above this. I'm going to delete that after, but let's do useEffect. And with useEffect, you pass in an arrow function, and you don't want to return anything directly like right here. You want to open up your curly braces and then run your methods. All right, so we're going to run both of these. However, we no longer need this dot props because we're bringing them in as props up here and destructuring. So we don't need to do this dot props, and then we'll get rid of that. Now there is something else that I need to mention here, but let's just save this and see what happens. Oh, I said get repos. It should be get user repos. All right, so let's go back and let's go to a single user component. And let's see, let's look at the console here. Actually, I want to look at the network tab. Notice that it keeps making requests. So it's basically going on in a loop. Now, the reason for that is useEffect is used for different things. It can be used in place of component did update. Basically, it runs on any update. And when we run get user or get repos, it's updating the component. So it constantly runs in a loop. The way we can stop that is simply by adding an empty set of brackets. Okay, because in here we can define special conditions on when we want this to run. Like if the repos change, we can put that in there, and this will only run when the repo, or will run when the repos change. we only want this to run once. So to mimic the behavior of component did mount, you just put an empty set of brackets in here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and hopefully I can get this to reload with this disaster that's happening here. I might even have to close the tab. Let's go back to the home page. Okay, so if I can get this to reload, you know what, let's just open up a new tab. Still not closing. Don't know why. But anyways, let's just work with this tab. Now it should work. So if we search for, let's say, Brad, and we go to the single page, notice it works, and it doesn't keep making requests because useEffect is only running once. All right, the other tab closed now. So it's only running once, so it's mimicking the same behavior as component did mount. Now, I just want to show you something. If we look in the console, we're going to get this message that says React hook useEffect has missing dependencies. So basically, when something changes with useEffect, it wants you to add it as a dependency. So it's saying add the getUser and getUser repos, which we're running in useEffect, as a dependency in here like this, getUser and so on. However, if we do that, it's going to do the same thing that just happened. We're going to keep getting that loop. So there are cases where you're going to get that message where you don't want to actually add those as dependencies. So to get rid of that warning, you can just put a simple comment in here and you can say ESLint -disable -next line. So if I save that and we go back, we no longer get that message. Okay, and everything works just fine. All right. So basically, when you want to run something when the component mounts, you just want to use useEffect and just use an empty set of brackets here. And there are cases where we will be adding dependencies here, but not dependencies that will keep causing it to reload or to keep causing it to loop. All right, so I know that might be a little confusing, but it will get better as we move along. You'll understand useEffect a little more. All right, and feel free to look at the docs as well of useEffect. And this is actually an issue that a lot of people have been complaining about, is a stupid warning, because if we do what the warning says, then it breaks our application. So, I mean, we can add this line here, and it tells us that in the warning, but we shouldn't really have to. But that's a whole nother topic. So, but the last thing we need to do to convert this to complete functional components instead of classes is the main app component. So right now, the main app component is a class with, you know, traditional state and stuff like that. So in the next video, we're going to convert this into a functional component, and we're going to use useState.